And now that the veil has been lifted and the truth no longer hides beneath layers of politeness or obligation, you must understand that this moment is not the end of a warning. It is the beginning of your elevation. Archangel Michael stands over your spirit now, not only as a warrior of heaven, but as a witness to your turning point, your sacred return to clarity, your holy rejection of spiritual traps masquerading as blessings. You're not who you were when you first received that gift. You have walked through confusion and emerged with discernment. You have traded emotional impulse for spiritual intelligence. And the enemy, who once celebrated your vulnerability, now trembles at your awakening. Because what he thought would keep you bound has only pushed you deeper into truth, into revelation, into divine protection. Do you feel it? The heaviness loosening? The cloud beginning to lift? That is the result of obedience, the fruit of your willingness to see what most ignore. Because the greatest danger wasn't the gift, it was the lie that came with it. The lie that said you had to accept it to prove your kindness. The lie that told you declining would be ungrateful. The lie that whispered, maybe this is from God, when your spirit was already warning you otherwise. But you have broken the lie. You have declared that your loyalty is not to people's approval, but to heaven's authority. And for that, Archangel Michael says you are stepping into a season where your discernment will multiply, your boundaries will be blessed, and your no will carry the weight of angels behind it. Because in this next chapter, you will not only recognize spiritual traps, you will prevent others from falling into them. You will speak with wisdom that pierces deception. You will walk with such light that manipulation cannot hide in your presence. You have been given spiritual sight, not just for you, but for those around you who still doubt their instincts, who still say yes when they once say no, who still confuse flattery with favor and obligation with destiny. Your voice will be their liberation. Your story will be their map. And it all began with one moment, one gift, one choice to look deeper than the surface and ask, what spirit is behind this? You must know that from this day forward, there will be others who offer you things that seem helpful, generous, even divine. But now you will know to pause. You will no longer rush into agreement. You will test every spirit, not in fear, but in wisdom. And heaven will back you every time. Because now your discernment is not just a reaction, it's a lifestyle, a holy filter through which every opportunity, connection, and offering must pass. You are no longer the person who accepts everything with a smile. You are the one who listens in silence, hears in the spirit, and moves only when heaven confirms. And Archangel Michael wants you to hear this clearly. You are not selfish for protecting your spirit. You are not hard-hearted for rejecting what looks good but feels wrong. You are not judgmental for setting boundaries around your soul. You are wise. You are covered. You are chosen. And because of your obedience in this, heaven is about to release something that was held back until your spirit could carry it. Yes, something is coming. A true gift. A blessing untainted by human motive. A door that opens with no strings attached. You will not need to question it, because peace will come with it. You will not need to justify it, because it will bear fruit. It will not drain you, confuse you, or entangle you. It will nourish you, grow you, heal you. This is the reward for spiritual maturity. Not more responsibility, but more rest. Rest in knowing you no longer have to figure everything out alone. Rest in knowing you are surrounded by angels who expose what you cannot see. Rest in knowing your spirit is now guarded by revelation. And when others come to you with tears in their eyes, confessing that they too have accepted things they never should have, you will not shame them. You will anoint them. You will walk them out of the same traps you escaped. And through your obedience, a chain of freedom will begin. Archangel Michael says, your spiritual legacy is no longer just about survival. It's about breaking patterns, exposing darkness, and awakening light in others. What was meant to trap you has become your testimony. And what looked like a setback was your divine setup. Heaven is proud of you. The enemy is afraid of you. And your future? It is now guarded by truth, protected by light, and prepared by God Himself. There are moments when your heart aches in silence, when the world moves forward, but something inside you stands still, frozen in the space that was once filled by someone you loved more than words ever allowed you to express. And in those quiet spaces, those unspoken pauses between memories, Jesus whispers to you now, I saw what happened when they left. I saw the way your soul folded inward, how you held your breath each time you hoped for one last word, one last sign, one final goodbye. But they left in silence. No clôture, no explanation, juste absence, tic, unbearable absence. And yet, what you do not see is what heaven has seen all along. Their spirit has not left you. In the realm you cannot touch with your hands, but feel in the deepest corners of your soul. They are still with you, watching, warring for you, hoping you know that what they could not say then, they're still trying to express now, because there were words stuck in their throat, words they couldn't bring themselves to say, moments they thought they'd have more time for. Maybe they thought they'd get to explain. Maybe they didn't know how to say, I'm sorry, or thank you, or you meant more to me than I ever said aloud. But heaven heard those unspoken words. Heaven caught every whisper of regret, every silent apology, every blessing they never had the courage to speak. And now, through Jesus' voice, they are being translated into light. Light that follows you, light that protects you, light that weaves its way through your dreams and your days. Have you noticed it? That strange sense of comfort when you least expect it? That moment of peace that rushes in without a cause. That's them. That's their presence, disguised as a breeze, as a flicker of memory, as a sudden stillness where you feel seen even though you're alone. Jesus says they left the earth, not your life. They're cheering for you now, not bound by distance, not limited by words, but more present than they ever could have been when confined to a body. Their love has expanded, no longer held back by fear or time or wounds they didn't know how to heal. It is pure now, cleansed, freed, and that love surrounds you. It moves with you. It speaks over your path, intercedes when you're weary, and watches over your heart like a sacred assignment from heaven. Jesus wants you to know that your tears have not gone unnoticed, not by Him and not by them. Every moment you sat alone wondering if they cared, if they remembered, if they saw what you're going through now, the answer is yes. They care. They remember. They see. And Jesus Himself has carried your name to them, has allowed them to witness the parts of your journey that they once feared they'd miss. When you speak aloud to them in the quiet, when you stare at a photo and whisper their name, when you say, I wish you were here, they hear you. They don't just hear, they respond. Not in the ways the physical world trains us to expect, but in ways that stretch through spirit and space and eternity. That unexpected moment when a song plays and hits you like a wave, when a feather lands near your feet, when you see a number or a date or a scent that brings them back in a flash. That is not coincidence. That is coordination, divine coordination, and you're not imagining it. Jesus affirms this truth. They're allowed to comfort you, not to haunt you, but to honor you, because your heart is sacred ground and heaven honors sacred bonds. The connection you had was not broken by their passing. It was magnified, strengthened, made eternal. And though grief may still visit you in waves, you must understand that love has not left. It has only transformed. So tonight, when the ache returns and you find yourself questioning if they knew how much they meant to you, Jesus says they know now. They see it all. They see your efforts, your healing, your silent strength, and they're so proud of you. If only you knew the depth of how they fought for your protection, you would weep, not from pain, but from awe. Because even in spirit, they have chosen you. Even in death, they still love you. And this journey you're on, it's not just yours anymore. It's theirs too. They walk beside you, not ahead of you or behind you, but beside you. And one day, when all things are made whole, and all pain becomes peace, and all questions are answered with love, you will look into their eyes again, and they will say the words you waited your whole life to hear. But until then, Jesus wants you to hold this truth like a lamp in the darkness. They may have left without goodbye, but their spirit has never stopped watching you. And your story, it's still unfolding. They haven't missed a single page. You've felt it, haven't you? That invisible presence sitting beside you when the world feels too heavy, when your heart starts to crack beneath the weight of unanswered questions and the echoes of what used to be. You've looked at old photos, replayed old laughter, heard their voice in your mind like it was only yesterday, and then wondered, why does it still feel like they're near me? That's not your imagination. That's not wishful thinking. That's the spiritual truth Jesus is trying to bring to the surface of your awareness. They never left you. The world may have said goodbye. The calendar may have moved forward. The people around you may have encouraged you to move on, but heaven never closed that door. In fact, the bond between your soul and theirs has only grown deeper now that it's been pulled beyond the veil of time. Jesus whispers this to you because you've been asking in your heart, do they know how much I love them? Do they see how much I miss them? And his answer is a resounding yes. Not only do they know, they're fighting for you, praying for you, standing in the presence of God himself, asking for peace to wash over you, for clarity to fill your mind, and for the weight of grief to be lifted from your shoulders like a cloud finally making way for the sun. There were words they couldn't say when they were here, things they held back, regrets that followed them even as their soul crossed over. And because heaven is not a place of hiding, they see now what they couldn't before. They see the depth of your heart. They see the moments you gave without recognition, the sacrifices you made in silence, the way you kept loving even when you felt unappreciated or misunderstood. And oh, how they wish they had told you what you truly meant to them. If only they had spoken sooner. If only they had known how short time would be. But grace makes up the difference. Jesus has stood between your pain and their spirit, allowing them to send messages not through speech, but through signs. Those dreams you keep having, where they appear but don't speak. That's not random. That's the language of heaven trying to reach you without scaring you. That chill that runs through your body when you're alone and suddenly feel warm tears come from nowhere. That's them standing beside you. That strange coincidence that made you stop and say, is this a sign? Yes, it was. They don't have voices anymore in the way you understand them, but they have presence. And they're using every ounce of that presence to remind you that you're not grieving in vain. They didn't vanish. They transformed. And though your eyes can't see them, your soul still recognizes them, still reacts to the vibration of their love that moves through rooms, through memories, through moments. Jesus says to trust those holy interruptions, those pauses in the day when time feels slow and you suddenly remember their face. That is not just memory. That is visitation. That is them gently stepping into your timeline for a moment to remind you that your love did not disappear into nothing. It became eternal. You've been asking heaven for answers. You've been wondering if you'll ever feel whole again. And Jesus says you will. But your healing will not come from forgetting. It will come from understanding. Understanding that your grief is not a burden, but a sacred thread that connects your soul to theirs. understanding that just because the world moved on doesn't mean you have to rush your heart. Understanding that healing doesn't mean letting go of them. It means learning how to hold them differently. And if you listen closely, you'll hear what they've been trying to say all along. Not in words, in waves of knowing, in moments that bring sudden comfort, in the grace that has kept you going even when you didn't know how you were still standing. Jesus says they are proud of you. They have seen your journey, your endurance, your strength. They've seen the nights you've cried alone and the mornings you've forced yourself to rise. They know what you've survived, and they're not watching from afar. They are interceding, rooting for you, asking God to send new blessings, new companions, new peace. They want to see you thrive, not just survive. They want to see you smile without guilt, to love again without fear, to walk into the life you deserve, free, unburdened, radiant. And Jesus wants you to know that their spirit will never stop showing up for you in dreams, in moments, in every miracle to come. Because their final gift is not goodbye. It's eternal love, wrapped in light, carried on the wings of heaven. And now, there are things they're trying to bring into your life that you've been unknowingly resisting, simply because the grief has made you question everything, including your own worth, your own ability to be loved again, to trust, to open your heart. But Jesus says the one who left is now standing in heaven, asking for your doors to be opened again. They see that you've been locked in patterns of isolation, in questions with no answers, in silent conversations with their memory that never seem to bring relief. They see how sometimes you smile for others while your soul quietly mourns behind your eyes. They see how you try to be strong for everyone else, holding together what little strength you have left, not realizing that heaven has been rebuilding you from the inside out while you sleep, while you weep, while you breathe. Their spirit has been present in those smallest, most sacred cracks of your life. Those times you thought you were forgotten by the world, but suddenly found yourself comforted by an unseen force, a blanket of calm, a sudden clarity in the middle of chaos. That was them, sent by Jesus, whispering that they're still here. And now, their spirit is pleading with heaven for you to be awakened to the signs they're sending. The song that plays at just the right moment, the bird that lands beside you when you needed comfort, the number that repeats when you're asking for direction, the memory that appears out of nowhere but brings a message you needed. These are not coincidences. These are confirmations. Jesus says the one you're grieving has stepped into a new role, not just your memory, but your spiritual intercessor. They're watching your choices, your struggles, your victories. And what they could not do in life, they are now doing in spirit, protecting you from harm, guiding you with love, cheering you on when you feel too tired to keep going. You wonder if they saw you change. They did. You wonder if they still love you. They do. You wonder if you were enough. You were more than enough. And now, in the quiet of heaven, they're trying to send you a message far more powerful than words. They want you to live. Not just exist, not just go through the motions, but truly live with the kind of joy and courage they wish they had embraced more often. Jesus is reminding you that you have inherited something sacred from them. Not just their love, but their purpose. There are people you will comfort the way you once wished someone had comforted you. There are paths you will walk that will bring light into places they never reached. There is healing that will flow through your hands, through your words, through your spirit, because their legacy is not just what they left behind, it's what they planted in you. And now is the time to water it. Now is the time to rise. Jesus says your tears are a river, but that river is leading to resurrection. The one you love did not leave you empty. They left you with a divine assignment, to live in a way that honors their memory and expands the light they carried. Their regrets in this life have become their missions in the next. They're standing before the throne of God, asking that you be given the peace they never found, the rest they never knew, the love they never expressed. They're not trapped in sadness. They're transformed by mercy. And in that mercy, they want you to know the truth. Your life is still unfolding with purpose, and their story is not over because it now lives in you. When you're kind, they rejoice. When you forgive, they find release. When you smile despite the ache, they're healed too. Jesus wants you to understand this union between souls is not limited by time or distance. It is eternal, and it grows stronger the more you walk in truth, the more you step into grace, the more you embrace the miracles still coming for you. Their spirit is not looking backward. It is looking forward. And they're praying you'll stop living in guilt, stop replaying the what ifs, and start listening to the voice of heaven that is saying, keep going, you're not alone. Because you're not. Not now. Not ever.